We are now ready to move on to the next part of the day, which is a brief Q&A and welcome from Lord Michael Hastings. He will be joining us in the next minute or so. But the main thing I wanted to do was just ask you to just have a think about the questions that you may want to ask him. So you can send those in the chat. Because I'm using my mobile, I might not be able to see all of them, so I might need a bit of support there in terms of a chat. Taryn, I know you're in the back end, so if you can just put them on my screen on the Skype chat that we've got running, so I can see what questions are coming up from the audience. So the main thing that you might want to do is just put some questions together. Please do listen to what he has to share. I met Lord Hastings about 2-3 months ago now, and upon meeting him, I was just amazed by the wisdom that he was able to share about how he started in his career and all the things that he's achieved so far. Lord Hastings is one of those people that you will, when you do meet him, if you do get the chance to meet him, it's really unforgettable. And I'm so pleased that he can be here today to share our keynote speech. So he will be joining in a moment. I think Taryn is about to add him to the screen, so we can both be on the screen together. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Good to see you. Great.
Hello.
Hopefully we can hear you okay, and it's not as bad as it was with me.
Well, I can hear me. I hope you can hear me.
You can hear, exactly. Well, hopefully in the chat, they'll tell us if there's an issue with sound. I'm just going to have a quick check. Taryn, I'm checking your chat to see if there's anything there, if everyone can hear us okay.
All perfect, says Taryn.
Perfect. Great. Okay. So I'm going to move off the chat, off the screen in a moment, and Lord Hastings will be sharing some really key words of wisdom. Young people, even parents, even volunteers, you know, this is a great opportunity to learn from a wealth of wisdom from Lord Hastings. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Temi, and I have no idea how many of you are out there at this wonderful, I would say, late hour of the morning. It's 9:45, and one thing I would say to you in terms of career development, career planning, career advice is don't be a sluggard. I learned in my early years when I was 14 years old, a teacher said to me, the biggest enemy in your life is going to be your bed. Get out of it as early as you can, get on and conquer your day. One of the things I learned way back then from 14 to now, I have the same practice of getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Is if you add the extra hours between 5 o'clock and 7:30 across 6 days of the week, you actually end up getting an extra 2 days normally into your week. You go from 7 days to 9 days. You can manage to achieve an awful lot. That's a small piece of advice. You have to figure out whether you can put the energy into it. Talking of energy, literally a month ago, this man died. His name was Eddie Jaku. And you can see, if you can see, I hope, the screen, he wrote this book last year, 2020, when he was 100 years old, the happiest man on earth. So he died at 101 just a month ago. 4 months ago, I met him online. We had a conversation. I interviewed him. He was remarkable. At 100, nearly 101 years of age, he was still full of zest. And he didn't die because of COVID. He just passed on at 101 years of age. This man survived the Holocaust, the attack of Nazi Germany upon the Jewish communities way back in the 1940s in what was the Second World War. How come he could say he was the happiest man on earth when he was 100 years old? I mean, after all, aren't most people 100 years old worn out and tired, a bit fed up and keen to get on? He delivered a speech in Sydney, Australia in 2020. You can look it up, Eddie Jaku TEDx, in which he describes his happiness as having the right people around him. Married for 73 years, his own children, network of loving friends. He never mentions the jobs. You see, the point of a career, if you have one, and I would say I haven't had one, I've just had a series of opportunities. But the point of a career, the point of the opportunities, the point of a job is not so you can have accolades of all the works you've done, but so that you can give happiness to those who are around you. That's a different way of thinking. So Eddie Jacob, a man who survived the Holocaust, which of course ended 76 years ago. I realize that's a long time for many of you to think of, but the war ended 76 years ago, and there was a liberation that took place by British and American forces who set Jewish people free, set them free, so they came out of these dreadful camps in which 6 million were killed. Well, here is another one. This is probably the best book you'll ever read, Man's Search for Meaning. You just call it Man's and Woman's Search for Meaning. People's Search for Meaning. Over, it says on this edition, 9 million copies sold. And that was about 5 years ago. This is written by Viktor Frankl. He talks about finding purpose in life. Because after all, you can have a job, but you want more than a job. You want something with purpose. Don't aim, he says, I'm quoting from the book. He lost his wife, he lost his children, 2 of them, to the attacks of Nazi Germany, which killed Jewish people. They were burnt in the fires. He survived. He says this: don't aim at success. The more you aim at it, the more you aim it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued. It must ensue, and it only does so as the unintended side effect of your dedication to a cause greater than yourself, or as the byproduct of your surrender to a person other than yourself. Happiness must happen, and the same holds for success. You have to let it happen by not caring about it. I want you to listen to what your conscience commands you to do and go on to carry it out to the best of your knowledge. Then you will live to see that in the long run, success will follow you precisely because you'd forgotten to think about it. I hope that sits with you, because endless people will tell you to plan your success and secure your career. But my advice to you would be this: be the right person for whatever comes your way, and take the long journey towards an outcome of value in your life. This morning I was reading through an edition of Time magazine, which is a great journal of weekly news, and I came across this tiny little point from Claudette Colvin. You're going to say, I've never heard of Claudette Colvin. And I'm going to say to you, you know something? I'll be honest with you. I didn't know much about Claudette Colvin either. But have a look at Claudette Colvin, because many of you will know of a woman called Rosa Parks, who refused to get off a bus in the US when she was told, you're a black woman, you can't sit at the front, you got to sit at the back. She refused to get off. Well, way before Rosa Parks, way before, in fact, 9 years before Rosa Parks wouldn't get off a bus, this girl, Claudette Colvin, at the age of 15, she refused to get off a bus. And she ended up, of course, being charged and going to, well, she was only 15, so she didn't go to prison, but she certainly was charged. She went on to have a life as a nurse's aide, and here she is now at 82, trying to get the record straight that what she did then was an honest, good act. I tell you that story because I want you to be able to say to yourself at 82, what I did all my life was an honest, good act. Even if other people find you objectionable and they say, you know, that's not what you really wanted when you were way back in your 20s, or even when you were 18, or when you were 16, or even when you were 25. But a life lived honestly and a cause taken up with purpose, you might take decades before other people see it. Now, it says here in this magazine, she's going to get her record cleared from a crime that happened, so-called 55 years ago, which wasn't a crime. I also came across another story today. I read the Financial Times. I read lots of newspapers every day. I was reading the Financial Times this morning. I'm going to finish with this in a second so you can ask me a question or two. And I came across this in the problem section, so people can put a problem in and seek to find an answer. I'm a tax accountant, writes somebody, at a big four firm. That's either KPMG, PwC, EY, or Deloitte. I'm a tax accountant. It's interesting and it pays very well. But I wonder, when I come to the end of my life, will I think that I did with it what was worthwhile? I could quit and become a teacher or a doctor, but I'm not in a position to spend years retraining or to take a large pay cut. Is there a career I could sidestep into using my existing skills where I could make a positive impact on the world without taking a hefty pay cut? Doesn't give his name or her name, but their age is 30. So basically saying, look, I've got a career. People say to me, being a tax accountant's a career. I'm in this job. I'm in a great big firm. They're paying me well, but I just feel a bit, I don't know what I'm here for. What's the purpose? Well, accordingly, the Financial Times says they're going to give a formal answer on the 8th of November. So that's going to be on Monday. I look forward to it. And I started to look at the comments made by other people. All sorts of people said, leave, get out quickly. Don't feel you're trapped. Move into something fascinating. Join a charity. And one person wrote this very cleverly. I can understand your fears with regard to tax accounting. After all, at the end of your life, you might indeed wonder why you spent all that time trying to save tax money for wealthy companies or individuals. But accounting is a very meaningful job, being the fundamental way to provide crucial, transparent information to and about the cornerstones of our economy, enterprise, and the public, therefore, need accountants to know to get things accurate and right. Honestly, I can't think of many jobs that provide that level of usefulness. It's a job that will always be needed. That was wise. You see, it's so easy to think of a career and I want to do something that's useful and impactful, but some jobs are just necessary. You know, we spent a long time last year, and I did every Thursday, clapping for people who served us in the NHS, thankful for their service. And now we know we need tanker drivers to drive petrol and lorry drivers to bring food, because we actually need a whole lot of people that we might have just disregarded. No thing you do is irrelevant. It's whether you will find a purpose in it. So the answer to this tax accountant is the job you do is so important because you're providing quality information that gives other people security to make investments and save money. Think about it. Everything you do can have a value. Everything. My first job was teaching. No. My first job was cleaning toilets. And then when I was teaching, I took on being caretaker to clean up the school site. Then I moved into working with government on urban problems. Then I went into television. And then I went into lobbying. And then I went into consulting. But all along, I never forgot my purpose. And here it is: to speak for the poor and to bend the power of the prosperous to the potential of the poor. Did I achieve my purpose most in a charity? No, in a consultancy. So, last word, everything you do can be valuable. Everywhere you go, you can make an impact. Think in the long term, not in the short term. And don't pursue success. Let it happen. Tell me.
Thank you very, very much, Lord Hastings. Really, really appreciate that. There was so much value in that. And I hope all the young people were listening out for the words of wisdom, the nuggets of wisdom in there. What's interesting is hearing your career story as well. You've had such a varied career over the years, from working in, from working as a teacher, which I was quite pleased to know, and also working in government and all sorts, working in CSR as well, philanthropy. It's amazing. I'm just looking out for any questions from the audience. So if you've got any questions, send them in right now, because we're going to be wrapping up soon. But I've got a question for you. How have you been able to do it all? You have such a career. How are you able to do it?
I think you're asking how have I been able to do it all, because your sound broke up a bit. But the answer is to be ready for whatever comes along next. So the answer is, don't pursue the job you want. Pursue the character and the skills you need for whatever the task or the job is. So develop your character and develop your capacity, not pursue the thing you want.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. We've got another question here, and it says, what can you do if you're struggling with motivation? What can you do if you're struggling with motivation?
Well, you know what I say to people? I had a student ring me up who was the night before the final exams at a university, and they were struggling with, I'm tired and motivation final exam. I said, let me tell you something. All you got to do is make a decision, because tomorrow is D-Day, and there's no point in us having a discussion. D-Day is not changing. You get up, you put your head to it, and you do it. Now, I say to a lot of people who say to me, I struggle with motivation, join the military. Then you won't find motivation an issue, because when you're out there in the service of war, in the midst of conflict, when you're dealing with things, this person's asking, it sounds like an uncle. Are you originally from the Caribbean? That's so funny. No, I'm originally from the north of England, but my mother was from the Caribbean. My father was from Africa, just for the sense of it. I don't believe in allowing ourselves to indulge, which is why I said about getting up at 5 o'clock, so allowing ourselves to indulge in that I'm not sure whether I can do it. All of us go through that. But what all of us have to do at the same time is bang ourselves against the wall. Get up and do the thing we're paid to do, or the responsibility in front of us, and do it. A mother doesn't have a choice when a baby's screaming, neither does a father when the child needs to get out to an event. We don't have the choice to be sloppy. Yes, Absolutely. It sounds like an uncle, doesn't it?
All right. Lord Hastings, we're going to have to wrap it up here. I can still see questions coming in, but we are going to have to stop here. Thank you so much for a great message to kick us off today. And we are going to be moving on to other rooms now. So if you're not sure where to go, guys, please do send a message at the check at the bottom of this video. There should be a link there. If not, check your email, because there's a link to get you back to the main room, and then that will send you to all the directions that you need to go, to which live stream you need to head to. Yeah, you've got some comments coming in still, but I'm going to have to stop there. Thank you so much. Please do. I can see a thank you message here as well coming through. So yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.